how people end up underpaid, because we see this all the time. So this is the pay episode. How mistakes we see a lot and how to kind of unwind that. The first one is, for some reason, and I mean, we could go on with example after example, but people I'll give you a good example. We always promise confidentiality to people we talk with. So we have to change up a lot of details and stuff. But there's a place that we worked for many, many years, and their CEO took a low pay package when he started.
And then nobody else could get paid actually market rate, because nobody could get paid more than the CEO.
It was nuts.
And that CEO stayed there forever, like not getting really paid enough. And
he was a great CEO.
He's a great CEO, way above what he was getting paid, but also like they
screwed
really
the whole
couldn't
organization.
get a number 2 or number 3 because they couldn't
right.
pay market
more than
value.
the CEO. Right. And they would raise the CEO's pay over the years, but only by whatever, so many percent. 5% here. It doesn't matter. When the guy was probably making half of what he should have been making. I mean, that's probably realistic. And he did a great job. And this isn't just about CEOs. That's just the first example we use. This happens all through the organization. But the CEO one is particularly galling because those jobs are hard. Like you can't, I mean, we know a lot of CEOs who do the work well, but it's a hard job.
That CEO actually chose to not be paid full market value. Like
original sin.
Knew it and accepted it and didn't try to change it. But what is so egregious about it is the cascading effect on everybody else. And then you can't hire, this is a top-notch organization, and they couldn't hire top-notch people for it because nobody was going to take half of what they were.
Or whatever. In this case, they needed to hire 2 or 3 other people right under the CEO over the years as the company grew and expanded. And they couldn't, because then those people were underpaid if they took so many small percentage less than the CEO.
Right. So you're in this situation where instead of hiring somebody who's qualified for the job, you have to gamble on somebody you think has the talent to eventually become qualified for the job. And that sometimes works. But oftentimes doesn't.
And so that's the original sin. The original sin of why people, and it sounds a little bit circular, but it's not. The original sin of why people make less than they should is that they accept a job making less than they should, and then think that somehow it will magically right itself. And that almost never happens. Occasionally, but when we've seen it be successful, where somebody's like, hey, you need to take this job, take it now, give me a few months, and then we'll get it through the board in the next budget cycle. Like when that happens, it's tight. And you and I, we're still nervous when we have to advise people about taking a job for less than they want to make. The promise.
Time flies and things don't get done. It's a bad idea to take a job where they're not just paying you. Because why wouldn't they just pay you the amount that they know that they ought to be paying you? It's usually because they don't actually have the resources to be able to afford you.
Right. And
that is sad for that company, but you shouldn't be making up for that as a person.
Yeah, that's the original sin. Saying yes when you should say no. When more likely it's signaling to you this company isn't for you.
Well, this company doesn't have the resources to
you've got
actually hire you on a lower level. So the CEO is, part of the original sin, but I think he bought into actually being paid low. So he was okay with it. Again, all sorts of problems from that. But then we have another client who worked for an organization that we work with. And it was the number 2 who basically put her with me and said, she's not getting paid enough. Help her. And the problem is that the number 1 in the company was like, well, it doesn't matter that she's drastically lower paid than anybody else who has had one of the jobs that she had like 3 different jobs. You know, we laid out a price. She agreed to the price. That's market value. So the CEO was like completely about, look, you agreed to it. That means it's okay with you. I see no reason why I need to negotiate it.
Yeah.
And the number 2 was mortified. And so the number 2 put her with me and was like, help her fix this.
Right. The CEO hired somebody for less, but it wasn't the number 2 person. It was somebody else in the organization.
Right. The number 2 was looking out for that person.
Yeah. And how did that story end? What eventually happened?
A 40% increase in pay.
40.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was you getting her to go.
I can't always do 40%.
Wow.
But that is how badly underpaid she was.
That's nuts.
And that is the difference between, like, when you're on the market, you have to do like the research. You have to get out there and use Google and LinkedIn and Indeed and figure out like what other people in your profession and in the region are getting. You have to pick up the phone and make phone calls. Like, people don't like to tell you what they make, but they will tell you like,
it's not a mystery. And
sometimes it's not a mystery. Like, anything that's public, you can find out the pay.
Yeah.
And you can look up ads for those jobs in other organizations. And sometimes, and especially in some states, they have to post the pay. But you can also just pick up the phone and be like, I'm applying for this job. I know you're in this job, or you've had it recently. What would be fair for me to expect for a salary given my credentials? Which is a different question than asking somebody, what do you earn?
Yeah. Yeah. And you look at your LinkedIn, you look at your, who do you know who has a similar job?
Yeah. LinkedIn is great because you could actually do a search by job and area. I mean, it's been a while since I've done this, but you could really vector it down, and then it'll tell you who's connected to you to help get to that person.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's important that this is not a negotiation discussion.
No, but it is in the very beginning. There's a piece of this that is negotiation. And, what is happening is, too many times people rely on the organization to know what they should be paying you, what is fair value. But this is not how organizations are run. Organizations do a market analysis on jobs at some point, maybe annually, maybe less than annually.
Well, they don't do it annually.
Some of them do, but maybe less than. It's a lot of work.
A ton of work.
And so what they're coming at you with. It's not only
a ton of work, then you have to pay people more.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so what they're coming at you with that they think is fair based on their research is outdated. And that's especially important. And most likely it is, because even if they did 6 months ago, that's not current, especially in an environment that is rapidly changing. So, you got to do your own research. And people make a mistake. They don't do their own research, and then they're only applying to like one job, or they stop applying when they get the option for one job. Like, you need multiple options going at once. So that way you also get a sense for what you're actually valued at by multiple people, but also like you're not desperate.
Yeah.
You have other options. So I think that the negotiation piece is just the first piece. That's the original sin of people basically being just grateful that a job fell in their lap and relying on the organization to be like, okay, this is how much you should be paid.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll do a whole podcast, maybe multiple, on negotiation. This touches on it, but we're talking, and I'm thinking right now about cases where people are making tens of thousands of dollars. And in the case you gave the CEO, he's probably underpaid by $100 and some thousand.
And the other one I gave was she was underpaid by about $50,000. So
yeah. I mean, huge deltas between the job that they're doing and where it would be paid almost anywhere else within a 200-mile radius. And as you point out, I mean, look, it's, internet people.
This is the best time ever.
You get these comparisons and then be willing to ask for what you're worth. Let me say it differently. Just be willing to ask for the average of what this job goes for. Because the egregious faults we see are people taking work that pays like a third or more less than it should. And you and I see that. So we see that so often. That's why we're having this podcast. If you're listening to this podcast, stop what you're doing and Google your job right now in your area. And Google what you're doing, what's the salary, and if what comes up is worth a third more than what you're making, then this is your podcast.